now we move to E-Levy, and okay, they'll put up E-Levy. I just created something like an E-Levy dashboard that would do a build-up to E-Levy. A few things have happened over the few years. One of them is particularly regrettable, and it's a videotape I'm going to show you. It's a regrettable comment from the General Secretary of the NDC. I'll show it to you in a minute. Okay, so the latest on E-Levy is that Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, Minister of Finance, and Minister Kojo Oponkroma, a member of Parliament for Fuasia Irebi, have been around the country to try and talk to people about E-Levy, try and get them understanding the purpose, and they are virtually campaigning for the E-Levy to be passed. Parliament has to take the E-Levy again because, as you know, the E-Levy voting had that confusion, which hopefully has now been settled by the Supreme Court. And so the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, we know that whenever he's presiding and he wants to cast a vote, he's allowed to do so. We know that now. But that's part of the E-Levy processes. We've also heard Speaker Bagbe say something about it. We are anticipating that from next week, Parliament will have another look at it. But this was quite unfortunate, you know, and I isolated it because sometimes when leaders of our political parties do these things, it's not fair and it's kind of painful. So Asiedu Nketia was on radio talking about E-Levy, and he alleged that a colleague of his, a member of Parliament from the MPP side, is in ICU, intensive care unit. Listen, have a listen. This is Asiedu Nketia. Listen.
They think that they can win it through a very expensive exercise. One, try to force some of our MPs out of Parliament and take their seats. They've tried this now with this Asin whatever MP. It hasn't solved any problem. The matter is in court. And now you have one of your MPs struck down by stroke. So he is in intensive care. So even if this Asin MP is kicked out, you are back to square one. You understand?
You heard what he said. He said somebody is struck down by stroke. Is that something that a leader should say? I mean, couldn't he have found other words to say it? Sickness can happen to anyone. I mean, we pray that all the members of Parliament will not die, will not be sick, and all our leaders. Every time we go to church, our pastors ask us to pray for that. For political expediency, Asiedu Nketia sits on a radio station. For political expediency, says that an MP is down with stroke. I mean, if that guy was your brother, if that guy's children were your nieces and nephews, would you talk like that? You see, this is what I talk about, the political expediency. They see everything as politics, that they have to be in power. This is not something our leaders should say. Leadership doesn't talk like that. Go all over the country, all over the world. Everywhere in fact, yesterday, the United States, the Fed group, they announced that the inflation of America is the highest in 40 years. They've never seen this kind of inflation before. So for the first time in a long time, the American Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, is going to increase the interest rate with which people borrow money. It's happened for the first time in America in a long time because inflation has gone over 40 years. The political opposition in America and the political opposition in England are not taking advantage of it and saying that the government is doing badly. Have you heard the Labour Party complain about the government doing badly, the Conservative government doing badly because the figures are low, because the petrol prices are high? They don't do that over there. And that's what we are learning from them. Why do we do that here? Why is the opposition on the government that your governance is bad? They all know what has happened in the world. And this is not the first time it's happening in the world. In the 2007, 2008, there was global financial crisis. We all saw that. Everybody saw it. You know, so this is not the first time it's happening. When petrol prices have gone up in 1997, we've seen all of that. For which reason petrol has to be increased, we've seen that. But here's Asiedu Nketia sitting on radio, being asked questions about E-Levy and what he can say about a colleague of his. And you see, the day after he did that interview, the next day, NDC people, and we've saved the post, Facebook post, they were posting that the guy actually has died. They were posting that the guy has passed. Because if your leader talks like that, then you will be able to post that the guy has passed when in fact he hasn't. Asiedu Nketia says on radio and says that somebody is down with stroke. Look at his facial expression when he says it. Play the video again. Look at his facial expression.
They think that they can win it through a very expensive exercise. One, try to force some of our MPs out of Parliament and take their seats. They've tried this now with this Asin whatever MP. It hasn't solved any problem. The matter is in court. And now you have one of your MPs struck down by stroke. So he is in intensive care. So even if this Asin MP is kicked out, you are back to square one. You understand?
No, please play it again. Play last one. I want people to look at his facial expression, saying another person's down with stroke. Are you God? Do you have life? Do you own life? Can you give life? Can you repair life? The other day, I asked President Akufo-Addo in this studio about how he's over 70 and still looks good. He said it's in the hands of God. But if you're a leading political figure, general secretary of a political party, another person in parliament, a member of parliament from the other side, has a difficulty with health, this is how you sit on radio and talk about it. Is that not the Ghana that, is this not Ghana? Didn't they teach us of a certain culture? Is that how you talk about another person? Look at what he says. He's down with stroke. Another politician, your colleague, your contemporary, you have been member of parliament before, because of E-Levy, and because you want to show that NDC have power to resist E-Levy, you have to sit on public radio and say that an MP is down, one of their MPs is down with. Totally unfortunate and totally unforgivable. These are the kinds of things we talk about because we want our political leaders to come up with a certain dignity. Our political leaders, those who speak for us. And sometimes when I watch the videos of the 1979 election and all that, I regret that our political discourse from the leaders is not as great as it used to be. This, Asiedu Nketia said, for it doesn't dignify the political leadership. It doesn't dignify the leader of the political party. It doesn't dignify anything. We are losing the dignity when we have people there who don't understand that the culture we are coming from, one has to speak as a leader with responsibility. He doesn't know that he has to speak with responsibility. He has to speak with dignity, especially when you are commenting on another person. I'll tell you something I learned. Those days I used to study the English Premier League because I had a job that has something to do with it. And you will see that at the end of the football game in English Premier League, all the time, no coach says anything derogatory about another coach. You see that. Do you know why they do that? They are building the image of the EPL. So a coach comes and says, oh, the other team was very good. Nobody criticizes the other team. Paul Pogba comes and says, our opponents were very strong. They did very well. And they're a great side to play. It was very difficult to beat them. We are happy that we won. That's how they have been told to say it. Because it's not about them. It's about the institution of the EPL, the English Premier League. They want to build an institution. When we are here building our institutions, building our judiciary, building our presidency, building our political parties, here is a political party leader who talks about slapping the deputy speaker and who sits on radio and look at what he's saying. Somebody's down with stroke. It's almost as if he's celebrating it. It's almost as if Asiedu Nketia is celebrating the event of another MP being unwell. That is crass. That is the lowest that we can go to. It is without dignity. It is without honor. And it is with a lot of shame for a political leader to speak like that. Somebody, the journalist should ask you that is somebody down with this? And then you say, no, Mr. Journalist, you can't talk like that. What we know now is that they have 137, we have 137. We are going into the E-Levy. We'll resist anything they want to do, and then we will use our numbers. But whether somebody is well or somebody will not be well tomorrow or tomorrow, you can tell him that I can talk today and tomorrow I won't be well. Anybody can be unwell. So that's not an issue that we want to talk about. What we want to talk about is that we have 137, they have 137, and we are concerned about they allowing the speaker to vote. The matter is in court. We are waiting for the court, but I can tell you that all 137 NDC MPs will oppose the E-Levy. You can say that brilliantly. But you sit down and you're talking about another person's mishap with sickness, and it's almost like you're celebrating it. And why are you celebrating it? You're celebrating it on the altar of political expediency, E-Levy. That for some of these people, they always have to be in power. When they're not in power, they don't care. They don't care about building culture. They don't care about building institutions. They don't care about building the democratic superstructure. They actually don't care. All they care about is themselves being in power. That's the only thing they care about. They don't care about anything else. They will destroy the judiciary. They will destroy the legislature. They will destroy the executive. They will fight the legislature. They will throw chairs and throw blows and give Ghana a bad name. They don't care. All they care about is that they have to be the majority. They have to be in the presidency. I talked about Solomon's child. They want the child slashed into two. Because the child slashed into two, a lot of blood, death will happen. And then the child is lost because the child is not for them. How can you? We have to build institutions. We build the judiciary. So whatever judiciary says, you come back and say that I disagree with it, but we obey it. You remember Haruna Idrisu, the majority leader. That day he said the decision of the judiciary is judicial support for E-Levy. Then he added, however, the Supreme Court has spoken, so we abide by it. That's what every responsible politician says. Because today Supreme Court will speak for you, tomorrow they'll speak for the other. And the next day they'll speak for that man. So they'll speak for this, the other, and that man. Wherever it comes, however it goes, if you have a role to play in preparing the case for the court, you do your best to discharge your obligations with your utmost best. And if the decision comes and it's not in your favor, so be it, because it is in the interest of the state and it's in the interest of the institutions that we are building. Such irresponsible talk, such undignified talk should not be entertained. Listen to Asiedu Nketia again. This time, take your time. Look at his facial expression. Have a look.
They think that they can win it through a very expensive exercise. One, try to force some of our MPs out of parliament and take their seats. They've tried this now with this Asin whatever MP. It hasn't solved any problem. The matter is in court, and now you have one of your MPs struck down by stroke. So he is in intensive care. So even if this Asin MP is kicked out, you are back to square one. You understand?
Back to square one because somebody is not well. I'll leave it here. Viewers, you can make your views known to Good Evening Ghana official, but we are building a country. And young people, let's be very serious. We're building a country, we're building a culture, we are building institutions of state. We want to look like America. We want people to look at Ghana and see that that's a strong democracy. There has to be a certain culture of speaking by leadership. It has to be dignified, not this one.